Hey everybody. So this week's question is, what exactly was going on in the Garden of Eden? If you were here this last week, you heard us talk about that. And again, a lot of big theological points have come out of that story. Well, honestly, the first question we need to ask isn't what was happening. The question we need to ask is it a true story or is it a true story? See, personally, I don't believe that it is a true literal story, that there was a literal Adam and Eve, like I don't believe Genesis 1 is talking about a literal 7 days of creation. But I believe it's a true story. It's a true story about God telling us our origins. It's not the origin of God, it's the origin of people, and people choosing to do harm, choosing to make mistakes, choosing to harm our other people as well as ourselves, and most importantly, always choosing to try and be like God and therefore pushing ourselves away from God. Often we read this story to figure out who we can blame for our situation. And the reality is we're meant to read this story to remind ourselves, well, it's not about blame. It is just about reality. The reality of what we choose and what happens time and time again. It is the start of that story, but most importantly, it's not the end of that story. See, even there, right from the very beginning, when all of this is happening, we see how God interrupts that story and starts to do things that change, to protect God's people, to take care of those that need to be cared for right then and right there. And that continues not just from Genesis chapter 3, but all the way through the Old Testament until Jesus comes and completely rewrites the story in a way that was set up literally thousands of years before. So what's going on in Genesis chapter 3? It's the start of your story and my story, and how we need Jesus to come and intersect our story, no matter who we are, no matter when that might be. Totally different than I bet many of us heard growing up with it, but I think that's the best way to look at Genesis chapter 3. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.